We had this young teenage girl who was a victim of, trafficking. What kind of trafficking we're talking about here. We're mentioning that, we got to be careful how we say things on this particular website. So she was a victim, and they said she had, stabbed, the violator to death, and she was ordered to pay $150,000. She was ordered to pay restitution to this sicko's family, and was sentenced to 5 years of closely supervised probation by a judge in Iowa. Now, Piper Lewis was 15-year-old runaway when she stabbed her 37-year-old violator, Zachary Brooks, more than 30 times in a Des Moines apartment in June 2020. Now, she's 17 years old now. It said was originally charged with first-degree murder. They said for the fatally stabbing that sicko. It said last year she pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and willful injury. It said each charge is punishable for up to 10 years in prison. Now, they said that Polk County District Judge David M. Porter deferred Lewis's prison sentence on Tuesday, meaning if she violates her probation, she could be sent to prison for 20 years. The judge said Lewis was ordered to pay the estate of her violator, and said because the court was presented with no other option, adding that the restitution is mandatory under Iowa state law. That's so okay. An underage girl, 15 years old, violated repeatedly by a 37-year-old man. Repeatedly. And this man here that we're talking about, that's the one you see on the screen. She has to pay the family. Now, the family, they shouldn't even accept it. They should say, you know what, judge, no, no, we don't want that. We don't want that whatsoever. I know it's with the law, but we decline that. We decline it. That would have been the right thing for the family to say, because how are we going to victimize her all over again? How are we going to do that? Now, they say she'll be moved to a halfway house in Des Moines, where she'll wear a GPS tracking device to ensure she would not fall back into the lifestyle that thus far left, according to the judge. He said she will be additionally be required to complete 200 hours of community service, all because she protected herself. And this country has a horrible history of not protecting children. We see just recently in Houston, they had this teacher, female teacher, that was, doing things with a boy, and all she got was 3 months probation, no jail time, no anything. We remember cases like Centoya Brown, things like that. Sarah Cruzan, another case similar, where these women defended themselves against violators and they end up going to prison. And I just noticed that pattern, this is another black girl, underage black girl that this happened to. They said that the young sister had ran away from an abusive stepmother and was sleeping in hallways of an apartment building when Christopher Brown, 28, took her in and began pimping her out to other men for relations. They say one of the men was Brooks, they say, who violated her multiple times in the weeks before his death. They say the teenager recalled being forced by the 28-year-old at knife point to go to Brooks' apartment to have relations with him. They say after Brooks violated her again, she said she grabbed a knife from the bedside table and stabbed him. So neither police nor prosecutors have doubted Lewis was violated. They say, but prosecutors claim she stabbed Brooks while he was asleep and was not a threat to Lewis. So they say Lewis has spent the last 2 years locked up in the juvenile detention center where she earned her GED while she was unable to communicate with friends and family. You say, my spirit has been burned, they say, but still glows, as through the flames. So she read from a prepared statement before her sentencing. Say, hear me roar, see me glow, and watch me grow. I am a survivor. Let me tell you something. What do you expect a young girl to do? So you want to wait till he's awake? This is a 37-year-old grown man, a 15-year-old girl. Of course, she's going to wait till he's vulnerable in the element of surprise. What kind of prosecutor would prosecute that? I wouldn't prosecute that. No. I mean, look what happened to her. I mean, clearly experts would say that she had, what happened to her with all the trauma and all the things that she was dealing with, right? Clearly, anybody in their right mind would say that, no, this was justified. Now, if the prosecutors disagree with Lewis referring to herself as a victim during the case, they said she failed to take responsibility for the, deletion and leaving Brooks' children without a father. Are you serious? Are you freaking serious? Did the prosecutor say this? So let's get this straight. The prosecutor is acting like this guy is a model citizen, and she just showed up and did this to him. A dad that just going to work every day, coming home, taking care of his family, not doing nothing wrong. This is the way you present him in court. I would look at that prosecutor funny. But what a lot of these people in this country want to do, okay? A lot of people in this country, truth be told, they want, let me see how I can say this without triggering the algorithm. They want it legal to deal with underage children. It say question Lewis, or say over the choices she made that led to Brooks' stabbing. Say, I took a person's life. She responded. Say, my intentions that day were not to just go out and take somebody's life. In my mind, I felt I wasn't safe, and I felt that I was in danger, which resulted in the acts. I say, but it doesn't take away from the fact that a crime was committed. Now, she said she regretted what happened that day, but to say there's one victim is absurd. Say, Iowa is not one of the dozens of U.S. states that have safe harbor laws that give trafficking victims, some degree of criminal immunity. It say the Hawkeye State does have an affirmative defense law that presents some leeway to victims if the victims committed the crime under the compulsion by another threat of serious injury, provided that the defendant reasonably believed that such injury was imminent. It said prosecutors argued Tuesday Lewis waived that affirmative defense when she pleaded guilty to manslaughter and willful injury. So, you can see here the judge. The judge is a brother. Now, giving her 5 years probation. I mean, it is giving her a lifeline. So I mean, I'm thinking about it because judges got to go with the law say. I mean, especially black judges, because white judges, like the Rittenhouse case, he violated all kind of laws, right? But another black girl, being violated, in this country, and nothing happens, nobody cares, what happens with her, or whatever, right? And for the sicko, ain't no way in hell I would even want to defend this sicko. He's sick. He's sick, and he gets everything that he freaking deserve in hell. That's how I feel about it. I mean, people like that do, listen, y'all would not want me to have any, I told y'all a long time ago, y'all wouldn't want me to have any kind of governmental power. Oh, no, because people like this, that's the death penalty. Children? You doing this to children? Oh, you got to go. You too sick to be in society. I don't believe we should be having a registry. No, they behind need to go. Because those kind of people, listen, my wife has a friend that works with those people as a to see if they can, like a probation officer for that department with the state of Texas, right? And when she first told me that that's what she do, I was like, you? Because if you meet her, you would not think she did that for a living, right? It would throw you completely off. And I say, well, how do you sit here and do that job? She say, I didn't got, used to doing that. So I asked her to tell me the process, and she said how that they have to tell her what they did, and how they did things. She said, it's pretty sick. She said, believe it or not, it's a few times I had to walk out. She said a few times I'm glad I don't have, a gun in my office. I probably would be in jail too. But she said, these people, a lot of them, he said, they reoffend. He said, because he said it is a sick mentality with these people. And when I heard her just saying that just about the reoffend and then I'm like, they don't need to be in society. They just don't. And then the crazy part is, I know, some brothers, partner of mine, tell me people like that, they'll go into jail and get a slap on the wrist. But let a brother go into jail, they had some, good amount of marijuana or some sort of drug or whatever. Didn't actually, kill nobody, but something like that. They'll get more time for that than these people will get for fooling with children. You understand what I'm saying? We have a sick and wicked system is because if you study the people that run this country, you study their history, they always had an affinity for children. And how many times have judges, lawyers, prominent business people, etc., then got caught up in foreign countries, fooling with kids? You had the big story. I think Juan Gale, had covered that story about the Gambia, about how all these Europeans and all these people going over here fooling with children. And the Gambia now, they've been cracking. Well, the Gambia actually changed some things. They definitely been cracking down on that. And they also don't want them old Karens showing up over there either no more. Because they said that they sick and tired of them showing up to their country doing that mess. And that's good. They actually taking that action. I said, because you're bringing all kind of disease down there. Because I never forget that what that sister said. I forgot that sister name from Ghana. She said that we never had tuberculosis and all that mess in this country. And in the parts of Africa, it was when they came down here, they brought that mess down here. Was the same thing about the Native Americans, is that when they brought that mess, all they influenza and everything else, but if you study their history and how they were living, in Europe, it created a lot of, that diseases, put it like that. They were living filthy. But people like that don't belong in society to me. They just don't. They don't. No. I think because you convicted of something like that, ruining a child's life, you need to go. You need to go. Death penalty and do it in 30 days minimum. Not have you up there on death row for years. No, in 30 days. Now you're like, look, you gonna appeal the case? You let you appeal it right then and there. But you better decide to appeal now, because if not, in 30 days you out of here. At minimum, and for some reason they get around. If he can get the death penalty, well, at minimum is life. Minimum. You can't go back to society. Because some people say, I don't agree with the death penalty. Look, anybody do that to kids, you need to go. You don't need to be sitting in the penal system. You just need to go. You need to go. And anybody that take an issue with me saying that, I'm saying, what? I'm gonna look at you crazy. Why would you want these people around here like that do this to children? But victimizing her, well, like, what? How this girl gonna pay $150,000? Where the money gonna come from? She got to be on papers at least for 5 years. That's a lot of pressure on her for 5 years, because you got to think about it. The only thing she really can do is, and what I would even suggest, and hopefully somebody could talk to her, like, look, don't be around nobody. I wouldn't even drink. I wouldn't even smoke cigarettes. I wouldn't be around nobody that do anything illegal. I'm like, look, all I want to do is work and come home and go to school. That's the only thing that I want to do. I don't want to do nothing else. I don't be in no nightclub. I don't want to be nowhere. I'm going to act like it's a pandemic all over again for them 5 years, just because I ain't trying to go do a 20. So let me go ahead on and just, I'm going to stay my behind in school. Like say, hey, can I go to community college? Can I got permission to go do that? I'll get my education and just go to work. That'll be my life for 5 years. Like I said, while I'm going to therapy. That's what I would suggest that young lady do. Therapy, college, and I say community college so she don't get in student loan debt, and a job. That's the only thing I would want to do. I don't want to hang with nobody. I don't want to do anything. I don't even want nothing to do, because she's young. She was 17. I wouldn't even want to do with no boys. I said, nope, I don't want to do nothing with them either. I just want to stick to myself, and that's it. So I can do my 5 years of this mess. Let me go do my 200 hours of community service. And no, because being 5 years on papers, man. But she shouldn't be on that at all. She shouldn't be on none of it, because she was a victim. She was a victim. And this is why also, you remember in part of the story, they said this dude took her in and he started pimping her out. This is why they give these pimps those charges now. These human trafficking charges. Like it's not all cool to be out there pimping like it used to be, because they know you a pimp. They getting you on human trafficking charges, and rightfully so. They should get you on that. They should lock your behind up too. I'm not saying you should get it depends on what you did. Because I'm a firm believer of, if you having a big enterprise victimizing people, you need to go too. It definitely has something to do with some children. Oh yeah, you got to go. You need to go. They'll penalty for you too. See, like places like China or whatever, they don't play that. They don't play all that, like, drugs and all that. Oh no, it was another country I saw. I think it's is it Thailand? It was another one. If you get caught up there with it, that's the death penalty. If you have it in your system, that's considered possession. That's crazy, but that's considered possession. You going to jail for that too. I mean, other countries don't play that mess, at least with drugs. I ain't gonna say that because, them other countries got a lot of tricking going on. But I'm just a firm believer of, when it comes to protecting children, that's your future, man. That's children have to be protected because they can't protect themselves. And in society that don't protect its children is a sorry and wicked society. Sorry and wicked. So, shout out to this, young sister. Like I say, she's 17 years old. I really pray that she gets some therapy, that she get the help that she needs, that she, be able to work, go to college, and just turn her life around for the good. You know what I'm saying? And just even for her, to the point that she had to do that in my opinion, to protect herself, is just, yeah, I wouldn't wish that on nobody. Because like I said, I'm a father, I have daughters. Okay. So when I see black girls like this in trouble, I have an affinity for it because I'm a father. Because, of course, as a father, I wouldn't, I would fight tooth and nail not to have my children in any kind of situation. But some children don't have, a situation. And she was living, obviously, with her father. They said she had an abusive stepmother. And that's another thing that ain't cool. When you have your children, men, you don't let no woman come in a relationship and treat your children any kind of way. If that and if her. You know what I'm saying? You like, oh no, you gonna go. My child not going nowhere. And if a woman say she loves you, then she'll love what's part of you. You understand? Same thing like a man. I would never recommend a woman to bring a man in to your household or whatever household you're gonna stay, and he's being abusive to your children or child. If he can't treat them right, he don't need to be there. But at the same time, as a parent, that's something you shouldn't even be with somebody unless you know how they're going to treat your child. You just upfront. Because any good person would never treat a child bad, whether they're children or not. They would not do that because they're good people. And that's all the kind of people you need to be with. Her father's sorry. He's sorry. Because he was supposed to protect her, and he did not. Because that child ran away because she was in an abusive situation at home, and he didn't do anything about it. Shame on her father for that, man. Shame. He, like the old people say, he need to be beat with a wet rope for that mess. Your daughter being treated this way, your daughter being put in a situation because your silly behind didn't check that woman or got rid of that woman out your household. Man, and that's the thing. Do you really think when he gets old, she's going to go and help him if he needs some sort of help? Being an old man? Hell no. Because she's going to think about he chose a female over her to the point that she had to run away, and she ran into the hands of basically a pimp. And it all sent us back to her father not protecting her. Any man that's not protecting his children, man, you're not a man for one. You're weak. You're sorry. You're saying man, I can't stand that. You ain't worth the term, man. You're a male. I hate that, man. You got to protect your children, bruh. They're your children. They're yours. And they're only going to be a child actually for so long anyway. And then out there they grown. Even if they grown, they may still need you. You know what I'm saying? I got some daughters that's grown, right? When I say grown, barely grown. And they still need, me. And of course, their mom. But it's times that, like my daughter had, her tire got flat. She calling me to come help her. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I went and done it. Put the tire on, stuff like that. Or whatever the case may be, or they get in trouble and they're calling you. And you gotta be picking up and going to see what's up with your daughters, especially your daughters. Your sons too, but definitely your daughters, as a man. But always protect your children. Man, forget a relationship. Sometimes you can't find the right person. You may have to put relationships on the back burner until your child grows up. Sometimes it's happened like that because you just can't find the right person. That's part of being a parent too. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you click the subscribe button. That way you know we post another podcast. Click the like button. That way you help us spread it in the algorithm. We appreciate everyone coming by, and we'll see you on the next one.